Welcome to the story of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, like you've never heard it before.
This story isn't told to you by the one Dragonborn that masters all, but told to you through the eyes of many different characters.
From soldiers in the Civil War seeking peace and order,
to seeking freedom and to remove the weakness from her lands.
From those cursed by the night, seeking to be the vigil in the darkness.
To warriors seeking honor, glory, and companionship.
To a shapeshifter and worshipper of the Daedra who seeks to live a life as a warrior.
To a mage seeking power and the arcane knowledge of Aetherius.
To assassins seeking fear and bringing the cold touch of Sithis.
To thieves seeking wealth beyond measure.
We all hope you enjoy
this story
of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Chapter 45, Dovahkiin. So much had happened since I ventured into the Soul Cairn. So much time had gone by, and I had been through so much. But by the end of it all, we retrieved one of the Elder Scrolls we needed. I had become a vampire to survive Oblivion. When we got out of the Soul Cairn, I had to resist my urges for blood. But thankfully, I had Serana by my side. Without her, I would be the very monster I sought out to destroy. Being around her and becoming what she is has taught me many valuable lessons. She helped me find a cure for the vampire. I also learned that she wasn't a monster, but a young woman whose life was turned inside out like mine by vampires, but in a different way. Vampires aren't just evil because of what they are. Not all of them are evil. They're just controlled by their lust and hunger for blood. Some are evil, like Harkon. But some, I dare say, are better people because of it. Like the Dark Knight, Cecilia, who helped me wipe out the vampires I believed destroyed my family. All the same, we still have a mission. Stop Harkon's prophecy from darkening the sun and destroy his clan once and for all. We now had 2 Elder Scrolls. We only needed one more.
Dexion said something about that scroll. What was it? Something to do with dragons, I think. Maybe we should try asking at the College of Winterhold. Sounds like something they'd know about.
When we returned to Fort Dawnguard, I didn't see Linoit. I went to find out where he was, but I was then told some very sad news. That he had died in the Reach. His body was found surrounded by dead vampires. He didn't let them take him alive. He died a true warrior. I knew we shouldn't have been split up. You never go out on your own. My heart feels broken. I found comfort in knowing he was around. He made me feel safe, protected, and warm during cold nights. I shall miss him very much, and fight on for him and the others we have lost. After 3 days of rest, we started back on our quest to retrieve the last Elder Scroll dragon. Dragons, they were back. I fought one in the Soul Cairn, and on the roads, travelers would tell us to watch out for the dragons. We heard their roars in the distance. They really were back, not just in my head anymore. After being back in Tamriel, I had no more dreams of the dragons. It felt nice that I could finally sleep. But why did I have dreams of them? And why have they now stopped as soon as the dragons have started returning? More importantly, why were they coming back? They had been gone for thousands of years. The last seen were in Elsewhere, far from these lands. Skyrim is going through enough. Civil war burns across Skyrim during the day. Vampires stalk the nights of Skyrim, and now dragons return to our skies. The roads are even less safe, for anybody traveling past us has warned of a dragon who's set up in the volcanic tundra in Eastmarch. And that's the road we need to follow to Winterhold. We finally heard it. A real dragon. Not one locked away in Oblivion. A real goddamn dragon. They really have returned. How in Oblivion can we fight such things? Skyrim once worshipped them as gods, but eventually we fought them and defeated them. Back then, Skyrim was united. We don't stand a chance with this civil war going on. We might find ourselves back under the control of the dragons, or Skyrim becomes the land of ash and ruins. We had to go around the mountains route to Windhelm to dodge the dragon. I don't think we'll stand a single chance against a living, breathing dragon. Maybe the Elder Scrolls we're after can help us deal with the dragons later on. It is named Dragon, after all. Everyone was so nervous on the roads. Townspeople were always looking into the sky or fearful when they heard the roars. Soldiers were always in a hurry, keeping their eyes to the sky and not what's in front of them. Dragons won't be good for any side. They won't care about the difference between blue or red. We're all just ants to such beasts. We finally made it into Winterhold without much of an issue, apart from the odd predator on the roads. As soon as we reached the long road leading to the fort, I started to feel strange. This fort was the gate to Winterhold, but there weren't any soldiers. Nobody was guarding it. Something was off about this place. Something wasn't right. I could hear what sounded like giants' footsteps. Did giants attack the fort?
I must say, the security here is kind of open. Not really enforced.
By the gods, it's a dragon! The dragon must have attacked the fort and killed everyone here. We can't run. It's already seen us. If we run, we die. Serana and I have already killed one of these beasts and we'll do it again. As soon as it saw us, within the space of a second, it had already killed 2 of us. I'd rather go out fighting than with my tail between my legs. Its flames, they were so hot. I felt my shield start to burn my hands through my gauntlets. The flame felt familiar. It felt like my body was made to handle such fire. The dragon was badly wounded from its early fight, killing all the soldiers here. But thankfully, I had Dawnbreaker. I dare say without this Daedric blade, I wouldn't have survived the fire of this dragon. I was able to kill it. But this dragon, it slaughtered my entire team. Serana! No! She was badly hurt. I've never seen her like this. The dragon fire really hurt her. I need to get her out of the sunlight. I need to get her inside. But then, out of nowhere, I had this strange feeling, like a humming. But I could feel it. It drew all of my attention to the dragon. I couldn't think of anything else. Something strange started to happen. The dragon started to catch fire, and I felt something. I felt awakened. I felt like I had been asleep all of my life, and for the first time, I felt like I had taken my first breath. I felt at peace. I felt different, not like I was before. I felt fulfilled, like a new strength had come over me. I don't know what happened, but I think that dragon, it did something to me. Like its very soul entered me. I need to get Serana inside. Whatever that dragon did to her, she's not healing from it. I need to get her out of the sun and feed her some of my blood. Maybe that will help her. Out of nowhere, the world started to shake, and this voice cracked through the sky like thunder. It screamed through the sky saying, Dovahkiin. What in oblivion was that? The entire world shook. It happened right after whatever happened with that dragon. What was Dovahkiin? I need to get Serana inside and make sure she's safe. I fed her my own blood. That way, I knew it was fresh and it had the best chance of helping her heal. With some rest out of the sun, hopefully her supernatural healing will kick back in. What in oblivion happened out there? With that dragon, with the world shaking. What in Talos is happening to me? This has all been so crazy. Ever since I walked into the Soul Cairn, my life feels like I've been thrown into the deep end. Within hours, Serana looked like she was starting to improve. Now that night was near, I'd need some rest for whatever tomorrow brings. I feel somehow that I should be going elsewhere tomorrow. When morning arrived, I was awoken by light footsteps. It was Serana. It was like she was never touched by the dragon. She looked as beautiful as the day she kissed me. It was time to have some breakfast before we hit the road to Winterhold. When I sat down to eat, Serana looked at me with shock on her face. She was confused as to why my eyes had changed color. What? My eyes changed color? When? She said they were orange, like fire. I told her something happened after I killed the dragon, like I had absorbed it. We set off in the morning, but after what happened yesterday, Serana seems to think it's the Greybeards. She thinks they were calling me. We have an Elder Scroll to find, but I don't know. I feel we should continue our quest, but something pulls me in the other direction, and I feel that I'll return for this scroll another day, but I don't know when. I feel so strange. I really want to find this scroll and end these vampires, but something deep within me wants me to walk towards the throat of the world, like I'm a puppet to the strings of fate. If it's the Greybeards and they're calling me, I must answer their summons. I don't know what happened to me yesterday, what happened with that dragon, or why my eyes have turned orange, but the Greybeards might know. We'll make our way to Iverstead and find out what in Oblivion is happening. We turned back around and started to head back into Eastmarch. I felt like I was on the right path, even though I had abandoned my quest for the Dawnguard. I felt more collected the closer I got. On the way back, Serana told me about her time when dragons still flew the skies of Skyrim. Dragons then would take territory around Skyrim and burn anything in the area. They were a true menace during her time. Before that, they enslaved the Nords of Skyrim. Now that they are coming back, we could very well face this again. Enslavement or complete destruction. If whatever happened to me yesterday has anything to do with stopping these dragons, I owe it to Skyrim to find out. But if I can help, I have no idea how I will. What can I do? I was only able to kill the thing because it was injured and landed. Even still, it wiped out my entire team in the space of a second. If it wasn't injured, I'd be another burnt-out corpse on the side of the road. My story would have ended yesterday, but I fear it's only just begun. I need to find out what these Greybeards want with me. Then I can decide from there what to do. We arrived at Iverstead during midday. From there, we have to travel up the mountain to High Hrothgar, where the Greybeards lived. We had to travel the 7,000 steps up a freezing mountain. Why me? Why is this all happening to me? It's all so surreal. I feel like I've been pulled in two different directions, as if the weight of the world rests on my shoulders. I sense a lack of choice in what to do next, almost like I'm being guided along like a puppet on a string. And if the Greybeards called me, what do they want? I remember my parents told me they were monks that lived atop the world, studying something called the Way of the Voice, living and dying there, some never speaking a word. The tablet read, "Before the birth of men, the dragons ruled all of Mundus. Their word was the voice, and they spoke only for true needs, for the voice could blot out the sky and flood the land." What was the voice? When dragons attacked, they spoke words. Like when I jolt forward, I too say a word. Is that the voice? Am I connected to the dragons? I use words like they do. Durnevir told me he called me Kanarin by instinct. When I killed that dragon, I took something from it. Am I a dragon? How in Oblivion is that even possible? By the Nine, Skyrim looks beautiful from up here.
Yeah? I like to spend time up here. Walk the steps. Meditate on the emblems. Doesn't hurt when I bag some game along the way. They're not the sort to take visitors. But I never go that high up the path anyway. Some folk who make the trip leave them food or other essentials. but not to make conversation. I did. Strange days when the monks will do that. I wonder what it means.
The second tablet read, "Men were born and spread over the face of Mundus. The dragons presided over the crawling masses. Men were weak then, and had no voice." This must have been when we worshipped the dragons as gods, before we rose to defy them and break ourselves from their chains. On the way up, we came across some trolls. I can say I was glad to see them. It made the walk up the mountain a little less boring. The third tablet read, "The fledgling spirits of men were strong in old times, unafraid to war with dragons and their voices, but the dragons only shouted them down and broke their hearts. No matter how much we climbed, these stairs seemed to go on forever. It felt like hours had passed by. It felt like we had been traveling up the mountain longer than we were in the Soul Cairn. And as we climbed, it got colder. It felt like winter had returned with a vengeance up here. The mountain was crawling with all sorts of prey and ice trolls. And if the trolls didn't kill you, the sharp cold winds would. I seem to have missed one of these tablets, but the fifth one read, "Men prevailed, shouting Alduin out of the world, proving for all that their voice too was strong, although their sacrifices were many-fold. Through all the wars, men were finally able to break free of the dragon's grip. Alduin, he used to be a god to the ancient Nordic pantheon? How did we worship this dragon as a god to then make enemies with it?" The sixth tablet wrote, "With roaring tongues the Sky Children conquer, founding the first empire with sword and voice, whilst the dragons withdrew from this world. After the defeat of Alduin, this is when the dragons would have gone out on their own and hidden away, or battled for territory like Durnavir did. He would have ended up in the Soul Cairn after Alduin's defeat." The seventh tablet wrote, "The tongues at Red Mountain went away humbled. Jurgen Windcaller began his 7-year meditation to understand how strong voices could fail. I remember this story that Father told us about the Nord warlords that used the voice to conquer the world, but were stopped by the dwarves and the Chimer in ancient times." The eighth tablet wrote, "Jurgen Windcaller chose silence and returned. The 17 disputants could not shout him down. Jurgen the Calm built his home on the throat of the world." It felt like we were on top of the world. Finally, after hours of traveling up this mountain, High Hrothgar was in sight. We finally made it, and I can get answers to what happened with that dragon and what they wanted from me. I want to know what this all means. Why have they summoned me? It was a sight to behold. A citadel sitting on top of the world. Here, I feel like I will get the answers I'm looking for. I feel like I was always meant to be here. Like I was born to be here. Very strange. This tablet had a statue of Talos above it. Was Talos here as a man? The ninth tablet wrote, "For years all silent, the Greybeards spoke one name. Tiber Septim, stripling then, was summoned to Hrothgar. They blessed and named him Dovahkiin." Wait, Talos was summoned by the same name as I was? By the gods, am I as Tiber Septim was? I was called as Talos was. I walked the very same steps he took as a man. I always believed that Talos guided me, and it seems he really has. Talos has sent me on this path. All this time, the dreams of the dragons, They have been from Talos, warning me of their return. That somehow I'm meant to be here now for a reason as soon as they started returning. It wasn't fate leading me along. It was mighty Talos. He led me up the 7,000 steps. It was he who put me on this path. And if he sent me here to stop the dragons, then I'll try. Hopefully he will shield me. But I don't know how I'll do this alone.
So, a Dragonborn appears at this moment in the turning of the age. First, let us see if you truly are Dragonborn. Let us taste of your voice.
He called me Dragonborn. They all stood there in silence, staring at me. They wanted me to prove myself.
Your shout will not
When that dragon caught fire, I learned a word from it called Foos. They wanted me to say it towards them.
Shout at us. Let us taste of your Dragonborn. It is you. Welcome to High Hrothgar. I am Master Arngil. I speak for the Greybeards. Now, tell me, Dragonborn, why have you come here? We are honored to welcome a Dragonborn to High Hrothgar. We will do our best to teach you how to use your gift in fulfillment of your destiny. That is for you to discover. We can show you the way, but not your destination. You have shown that you are Dragonborn. You have the inborn gift. But do you have the discipline and temperament to follow the path laid out for you? That remains to be seen. Without training, you have already taken the first steps towards projecting your voice into a thum, a shout. Now let us see if you are willing and able to learn. When you shout, you speak in the language of dragons. Thus, your dragon blood gives you an inborn ability to learn words of power. All shouts are made up of 3 words of power. As you master each word, your shout will become progressively stronger. Master Einarth will now teach you Ro, the second word in Unrelenting Force. Ro means balance in the dragon tongue. Combine it with Fus, force, to focus your thumb more sharply. Ro.
When he spoke the word, it burned into the floor. When I looked deeply into the carvings, I felt the word had become one with me. This is why I could read the carvings on the wall when nobody else could, because I was Dragonborn.
But learning a word of power is only the first step. You must unlock its meaning through constant practice in order to use it in a shout. Well, that is how the rest of us learn shouts. As Dragonborn, you can absorb a slain dragon's life force and knowledge directly. As part of your initiation,
That's what happened.
Master
I learned that
Einarth
word from the
will allow you
dragon.
to tap
I
into his
ate its soul?
of rope.
That felt like when I ate the dragon's soul. Huh, if I kill dragons, I get stronger?
Use your unrelenting force shout to strike the targets as they appear.
Losa! Fus!
Well done. Again.
Losa! Fus!
You learn quickly. Once more.
Losa! Fus!
Impressive. Your thumb is precise. You show great promise, Dragonborn. We will perform your next trial in the courtyard. Follow Master Boy. I see that you have already begun to learn the Whirlwind Sprint shout. Master Bori will teach you Na, Fury, the second word of Whirlwind Sprint. No.
I had learned the first word of Whirlwind Sprint many months ago when I was joining the Bard's College. I learned it off a wall in Dead Men's Respite. I thought I was going insane because I was the only one that could see it. The two others with me couldn't. Now I know why.
Approach Master Bori, and he will gift you his knowledge of Na. Now we will see how quickly you can master a new word. Master Wolfgar will demonstrate Whirlwind Sprint. Then it will be your turn. Master Bori. X. Wolf. Stand next to me. Master Bori will open the gate. Use your Whirlwind Sprint.
I had found this word useful many times, either getting out of trouble or getting closer to it. Now I could jolt even further away.
Your quick mastery of a new Thum is astonishing. I'd heard the stories of the abilities of Dragonborn, but to see it for myself? No, indeed not. But beware that your skill does not outstrip your wisdom. You are now ready for your last trial. Retrieve the horn of Jürgen Windcaller, our founder, from his tomb in the ancient fane of Ostengraf. Remain true to the way of the voice, and you will return. No doubt, the appearance of a Dragonborn at this time is not an accident. Your destiny is surely bound up with the return of the dragons. You should focus on honing your voice, and soon your path will be made clear. Good. Then you will be ready for whatever lies ahead.
So I was a Dragonborn, a mortal born with the soul of a dragon, just like Talos was. I could learn words of the dragons on the spot. I could also kill them and eat their souls, and learn what they had learned. I had received the answers I was looking for. But what does this all mean? Am I the only Dragonborn? Am I meant to stop the dragons on my own? I was on a mission to stop the vampires from darkening the sun. Now I have to stop the dragons from enslaving or destroying us. I can't do both, and I can't do them alone. I also can't risk Serana being caught in Dragonfire. She's powerful, but against dragons and their fire, she stands no chance. I won't lose another person I care about. I won't put her in danger of dragons. Tomorrow I'll send her back to Fort Dawnguard. She can tell them what's happened. She can tell them why I've had to abandon the mission. For I believe dragons will be a greater threat to mankind than the vampires. And with the scrolls hidden and the last one still unknown, Harkon won't find out how to darken the sun. But I have no heart to tell her right now. I know she cares about me, and I about her. That's why I can't have her with me. And I believe the Dawnguard will need her with them to help fight the vampires while I'm gone. I will miss her greatly. Even though she's a vampire and has done horrible things, I believe she is a good person. And if the world needs vampires, it's ones like her who are willing to do good and protect the innocent. I slept well once again. I didn't dream of dragons. I felt like this was where I was meant to be. But when I woke, I had those strange feelings return, the ones I get with some people I see. It was stronger than ever. Serana was still asleep. I needed to sit for a moment and figure out in my head how I'm going to tell her that I don't want her here, that I don't want her to be turned to ash in front of my very eyes, that I need to focus on what's in front of me, not being worried about losing her to Dragonfire. Maybe I'll get some fresh air and find out what has stirred these strange feelings up again. Maybe then I'll have the answer I need for her. When I came out to the main room, Arngir was waiting for me. He wanted to speak to me about something. He had told me that 2 soldiers had come looking for me. Both had come to aid the Dragonborn. But he warned me that their motives were the same and that they aren't here to merely help but want something in return. Who are they? What do they want with me? Time to find out who these soldiers are and find out what they want. Wait, is that Centauros? I met him in Solitude after joining the Bard's College. We had way too much spiced wine, and we ended up under the sheets together.
This was the Dragonborn? She somewhat looked familiar, but I couldn't place where. I had told her that the Empire was at her service, that we would help her deal with the dragons. When the world shook and the skies screamed out her name, that I was sent to aid her cause. The dragons had become a real problem. We were the first to kill one. But ever since, more of them have returned, laying waste to both Imperial and Rebel armies.
That's the Dovahkiin? She's talking to that Imperial dog. I won't let these Imperials steal away this one too. If the Empire's here, they want what we want. The Dovahkiin. I won't let that happen. We can't let the Imperials have her. We need her to stop these goddamn dragons. Then the Dragonborn can end this war and free Skyrim. She was a Nord, a true daughter of Skyrim. She looked like one of the Dawnguard hunters. Her sword looked fancy. I told her that Ulfric Stormcloak had sent me to aid her in her mission to stop the dragons. The truth of it was that I was also sent here to gain the Dragonborn as an ally for the war. With a Dragonborn on our side, nothing could stop us. It would be like the old days of Talos. We could free Skyrim, gods. We could even conquer Cyrodiil and set the Somersets on fire.
Both of these soldiers were from different sides of the Civil War. I see now, they're not really here to help. But they must think that because I'm Dragonborn, that I'll be like Talos and could end the war for them. But if they want to use me, then I can use them. I won't be alone doing this. They can aid me in retrieving this horn the Greybeards have me going after. The ruin, I know of it. It's close to home. I've never been in, but Father warned me of its dangers. So I could use these 2 soldiers, if they don't kill each other on the way there. I accepted their aid, only if they wouldn't kill each other or take part in battles on the roads to defend their soldiers. If they were with me, they were not to engage in the war. I could now tell Serana what I needed to, that I wouldn't be alone, and that I can't do whatever it is I need to if I know she's in great harm. Now I just need to build the strength to look into her eyes and tell her goodbye. I told her the truth. I told her she couldn't be here, that I would not risk her life, that I needed someone still in the Dawnguard fighting the vampires, so they knew what happened to me. I told her I wouldn't be alone, that one day soon, we'll see each other again. As she walked away, I felt hollow. I could still see her, and yet I felt like I was missing her. I don't really understand these feelings, but they will conflict with what I have to do. At least Centauros and Sigund haven't killed each other yet. I was willing to have them aid me, even though I knew what they wanted me for. But I had conditions. No fighting each other or aiding their comrades in battle. And if they are in danger of the other side's troops attacking them, that they will step in and stop their troops. If they broke my rules, I threatened to help the other side in return. But honestly, either one of them looked like they could handle me with ease. I was nowhere powerful enough to finish their war. I'm a Nord, born and raised in these lands. But my parents were from Cyrodiil, and one of my grandfathers is an Imperial. Plus, my father fought for the Empire in the Great War. I'm torn between both sides, but they have their reasons. But I see them as 2 sides of the same coin. My father fought for the Empire, and I believe that Skyrim and Cyrodiil have always been siblings. But the Empire's treatment of Talos and his worshippers pull me towards the Stormcloaks. They have a right to worship Talos in peace, without the fear of death. If I'm to pick a side in this war, I truly don't know what side I would join. When we reached Ivarstead, I had to let Siegen lead the way to Ustengrav, at least through the Stormcloak territories so her men don't kill Centauros, and then have Centauros lead us through Imperial territory. Hopefully they don't kill each other, or can control their soldiers from attacking the other.
The Dovahkiin accepted my help, but she also accepted the Imperials. By the Nine, I have a faithless Imperial at my back, and I'm not allowed to put him in the dirt. After what they did to Brianna, he's lucky I'll respect the Dragonborn's wishes. If I had died and it was Brianna in my shoes, she would have killed both the Imperial and the Dragonborn for telling her not to. This very Imperial is the one who stopped our first attack about a year ago. He's the same one we were going to kill on the roads, but fate decided to spare him. I feel hatred when I see him, but I feel something else. Something that I feel is clouded, like I can trust him. I don't know why. I wouldn't trust an Imperial as far as I could throw one. They are faithless. They betrayed the very man that created their empire. They kill Nords for worshipping that man who became a god.
When we passed back into Imperial territory, I took the lead. I swear I've seen this rebel before. I remember a Nord woman in Whiterun who wore our armor. She had a stripe over her eyes, but it was red. I knew there was something off about her. Something was telling me that day to rest at home instead of Skystone. I guess she was why. Now I have to work with her to gain the Dragonborn's trust, so she can see the Empire as her ally and aid us in restoring order back to Skyrim. This rebel did stop her soldiers on the road from attacking me. She's not a total barbarian. At least some of these rebel Nords aren't complete mindless savages. From here, it's the Dragonborn's lead. She said she knows these parts, so we'll follow her.
We made it to Morthal without much of an incident. They seemed to like taunting each other on the roads with words. But when their soldiers would approach with weapons drawn, they would protect the other. To be honest, I'm really surprised nothing happened. Why does everything send me back home? I left this place to explore the world, to make a new life for myself. And every time something happens, I always find myself coming back into this marsh, back home. This place really is cursed. No matter what I try to do, I always find myself being drawn back in. The Greybeards have me retrieving the horn of their founder, Jorgen Windcaller. The very ruin this horn is in is within eyesight of where I was born and grew up. Ustengrav was a Nord ruin close to where my parents built their home. Father used to clear out the undead in the place when I was young. He made me and my sister swear to never step foot near the ruin, that the dead protect its halls. Where we grew up, we knew very well that the dead weren't just ghost stories, but real. Most of the time, he would remove necromancers that got too close to the place. And since his death, there's been nobody to stop these foul mages from their dark arts. Until now.
That's how the Legion fights.
These two soldiers had no idea that I was born and raised nearby. To them, this was just some filthy, haunted swamp. To me, this was home, where my entire family is buried. I've never stepped foot in these ruins, even after Mother and Lysra were gone. Father told me to never enter, that the dead will stay in their tomb unless necromancers bring them out. So I have no idea what's in there. If the necromancers are back, then that means the tomb's guardians are going to be angry. I should expect a fight.
They say these walls show the history of the ancients who built this place.
them, huh?
These soldiers could definitely handle themselves. They look like they've faced down the Draugr before.
Couldn't have done that without you.
One fight in the last 3 weeks. This is gonna drive me crazy.
When we got deeper, it led to an open cavern. This cavern was guarded by the bones of those who came here and never left. The sound of their creaking bones haunted the place. Down below was one of those walls with carvings, where I learned my very first word. If it has anything for me to learn, I'll need to cut my way through the army of bones protecting it from me. No pile of walking bones stands a chance against us. When we got closer, I could see the word glow. It was calling out to me to learn this new word. 1,000 years ago, Talos himself stood where we stood. To think that I am now walking in the footsteps of Talos. It's unbelievable that we were both called Dovahkiin, that we were both sent on this quest, that Talos conquered all of Tamriel and eventually joined the gods. I don't think I'll ever get there, but it's mind-blowing to think about. As I got close, I could hear the chanting, and again, both Centauros or Sigund couldn't see or hear what I did. It was just a wall with the dragon language on it to them. The word written was Faim, which meant fade. The wall read, "Noble Nords, remember these words of the Hoar Father. It is the duty of each man to live with courage and honor lest he fade, forgotten into darkness." This shout made me look like a ghost. Sigund and Centauros thought I was dead when I shouted. This could be a very useful shout to get me out of trouble or close the distance towards it. It was now time to press on and retrieve this horn for the Greybeards. We walked over an arch leading to a dark part of the cavern. We reached what looked like 3 rune stones. This part of the ruins looked cleared, or that it hadn't been disturbed in centuries. There's something unsettling in ancient Nord tombs when it's silent. It's a most strange place to be quiet and not feel safe. As I got close to the runestone, it glowed red and one of the gates opened. I guess the other 2 runestones need somebody close to them to work. I could place Sigund and Centauros near both. They might work. No. Whichever way I place us, I'll miss a gate. The Greybeards taught me the second word to Whirlwind Sprint. I guess it was in preparation for this. That shout should help me cover the distance. A test, I see. Now hopefully from here it's all easy. Get the horn, get back, climb the 7,000 steps again, and finish their trials. And find out why I'm here. To why I've been summoned and called Dragonborn. And why at the very time of the dragons? What does destiny have in store for me?
I've never seen such a thing.
When I entered the room, the ground started to shake and pillars of some kind started to rise from the water. At the end of the room lay a tomb, the very tomb of Jurgen Windcaller, an ancient Nord war hero, but then the founder of the Greybeards. but I saw no horn above his tomb as it was described. The closer I got, it looked like a note. Was this the test? Was there no horn here? It was a note for me, but from somebody that had stolen the horn before me. Did they want me to buy it? I guess I'll figure that out since they wish to meet me at Riverwood's Inn. By the gods, I hope this doesn't have me running around all of Skyrim. Both my companions weren't happy about somebody else taking it, but we had a lead, and that lead was Riverwood. We'll set off to Riverwood then and find out who has taken the horn of Jurgen Windcaller. By the time we got out, it was already night, and this wasn't the place you wanted to explore in the darkness, so we'd set up camp here and stay the night, then set off at first light. After the long day, we set up around a fire to relax. Centuros and Siegen looked at each other with a burning hatred, arguing back and forth about this God's damned war.
Traitors, the lot of you. You people are just barbarians with no sense of loyalty and honor.
Traitors? Is it traitorous for a Nord to fight for her homeland to free it from a corrupt empire? You faithless dogs talk about loyalty. Ha! The very flags that fly over your forts are the very flags of Tiber Septim. And now you kill those who worship him as the rightful ninth divine as he is. Don't talk to me about loyalties, milk drinker.
They sat there arguing back and forth about politics, religion, the people they have lost. I got tired of it all and went to sleep. By first light, I was up. We'd set off a few hours after sunlight so everyone could be rested. We have a long day ahead of us, and those 7,000 steps up the mountain aren't nice. Since I was the Dragonborn, they wanted me to be well rested, so I would get the last watch while they got some sleep. When I woke, it was Sigyn's watch. She was a very fierce believer in her cause, strong and beautiful and unforgiving. I dare say she mirrors Skyrim herself. Centuros, on the other hand, he doesn't even remember me, but he seems loyal to the bone, to the Empire, and to his word. Bringing order back to Skyrim is what he believes must be done, and he'll stand by that until he can't stand any longer. They are so much alike each other, but so very different. If this war wasn't going on, I believe they could have made good friends. Now, just to gain my friendship to join their side in this war, they have to not kill each other. All they've both known is killing one another. All they see is the hate. They've both lost people to each other's soldiers and causes. They've had to hate to survive this war. It must be so strange to be fighting side by side with their own enemies. One sees the Empire as an oppressor, weakening her lands and hurting her people. The other sees Skyrim in chaos and fights to return order back to these lands and bring peace back to its people. If only Father was here now. I could really use some of his advice. Sigurd would rather sleep in the open than near the Imperial. If this companionship is to work, I really hope they can at least learn to tolerate each other out of combat. If their goal is to help me and protect me, they can't do that fighting each other. I remained on watch until 9. Then we set off to Riverwood. Here we'll find out who took the horn and what they want from me. People looked at us very strangely as soon as we entered Riverwood. Not because of my orange eyes, but because of a Stormcloak and Imperial getting along. I told them to relax while I find out what's going on. I have a strange feeling about that woman over there.
You're that visitor been poking around. I'm the innkeeper. It's my business to keep track of strangers. Attic room, eh? Well, we don't have an attic room, but you can have the one on the left. Make yourself at home.
I ordered the room I was told to in the letter. Here I would wait for the person who called me here. But I already had a feeling who had sent me here.
So you're the Dragonborn I've been hearing so much about. I think you're looking for this. We need to talk.
I knew it was her.
Follow me.
She felt guarded, like she was hiding something. Now she wants me to follow her. She better tell me what she wants from me.
Close the door. Now
Damn
we can
Stormcloak rebels.
The Greybeards seem to think you're the Dragonborn. I hope they're right. I hope so, but you'll forgive me if I don't assume that something's true just because the Greybeards say so. I just handed you the horn of Jurgen Windcaller. Does that make me Dragonborn too? And now you have it. No harm done. I knew the Greybeards would send you for the horn if they thought you were Dragonborn. Taking it was the only way I could be sure this wasn't a Thalmor trap. Like I said in my note, I've heard that you might be Dragonborn. I'm part of a group that's been looking for you. Well, someone like you, for a very long time. If you really are Dragonborn, that is. Before I tell you any more, I need to make sure I can trust you.
I'm still sore where I took that arrow. I hate archers.
Yes, we're very old enemies. And if my suspicions are correct, they might have something to do with the dragons returning. But that isn't important right now. What is important is that you might be Dragonborn.
Can't wait to get one of those rebels.
We remember what most don't, that the Dragonborn is the ultimate dragon slayer. You're the only one that can kill a dragon permanently by devouring its soul. Can you do it? Can you devour a dragon's soul? This is no time to play the reluctant hero. You either are or aren't Dragonborn. But I'll see for myself soon enough. Dragons aren't just coming back. They're coming back to life. They weren't gone somewhere for all these years. They were dead, killed off centuries ago by my predecessors. Now something's happening to bring them back to life, and I need you to help me stop it. I know they are. I visited their ancient burial mounds and found them empty. And I figured out where the next one will come back to life. We're going to go there, and you're going to kill that dragon. If we succeed, I'll tell you anything you want to know. Kynes Grove. There's an ancient dragon burial near there. If we can get there before it happens, maybe we'll learn how to stop it. Good. Good. Now we won't have to spend time searching for it. We should get moving. There's no time to waste. I can't wait around for you to make up your mind. I'll meet you at Kynes Grove. Don't waste time getting there.
She was very secretive. She didn't even trust that I was the Dragonborn. She wanted me to meet her at Kynes Grove to find out how they are coming back. And no doubt to prove I'm Dragonborn.
That's better.
But first,
Let's get on
I
the
must
road to
deliver the
Kynes
horn to the Greybeards and complete their trials. Once we had the horn, we marched back up the 7,000 steps and arrived by late afternoon. The Greybeards did not let my companions enter. They said it was for their own safety.
Ah, you've retrieved the horn of Jurgen Windcaller. Well done. You have now passed all the trials. Come with me. It is time for us to recognize you formally as Dragonborn. You are ready to learn the final word of Unrelenting Force, Da, which means push. Da. With all three words together, this shout is much more powerful. Use it wisely. Master Wulfgar will now gift you with his knowledge of Vingra Crossis Aran Nal sulek do kan, nal sulek do shor, ark nal sulek do atmoravu. Meis nu isfir, dova de bron, dama da rock. Dovahkiin, you have tasted the voice of the Greybeards and passed through unscathed. High Hrothgar is open to you. Wind, guide you. We spoke the traditional words of greeting to a Dragonborn who has accepted our guidance. The same words were used to greet the young Talos when he came to High Hrothgar, before he became the Emperor Tiber Septim. Ah, I sometimes forget you are not versed in the dragon tongue as we are. This is a rough translation. Long has the storm crown languished, with no worthy brow to sit upon. By our breath we bestow it now to you, in the name of Kain, in the name of Shor, and in the name of Atmora of old. You are Ysmir now, the dragon of the north. Hearken to it.
My trials were complete. The Greybeards had crowned me Ysmir, Dragon of the North. For 30 seconds, the world shook as they named me Ysmir. Tomorrow, I'll have to find out what this Delphine wants, and then we can discover how these dragons are coming back. It seems I join another fight to protect Skyrim, but I feel that alone I won't stand a chance against the fight that's been decided for me.
Welcome to the Chapter 45 background stuff. Now obviously, as you can see, I've attached this to the back of the video because I'm kind of tired of uploading two different videos, and for someone that watches all this crap in the future, they're not going to be able to find the background video in the backlogs of the other videos I've uploaded since. So I thought it'd just be an idea to put the outro back into the actual videos instead of having to do a separate two videos. Now this is the gateway to book 2 in my head. This is what I've always imagined. Oh, how am I going to get here? How long is it going to take? And how will I do it? Ever since I started this project, you know. And it's finally great to be here. It's finally fucking happened. You know, it feels like all this time writing these stories and doing this for YouTube, even though I don't get views, the views aren't really important to me. Obviously views are good because it gets to more people out there that enjoy this sort of stuff. It will never make me money. Not this project at all, or any other projects I do similar to this, because I use AI to generate the voices of real life people that are licensed actors, and I will not take money at all for these projects because it's morally fucked, and not my ball game. But I do this for the passion of telling a story, to try and make Skyrim feel like an actual storybook, you know, or a television series. That it's not just a character that's over and done with Skyrim in 2 weeks. It feels like an authentic story, you know, of the events of Skyrim, at least in my view. So, welcome to the outro if you're here. Now this, like I said, I'm very proud of this chapter. I've finally made it here after a year of storytelling. And it's really cool. I don't know, man. I feel accomplished in a sort of way. This is the gateway to the future of the actual. This is getting into the main shit, man. Because my story takes place over a couple of years. The dragons they appear in 201, as you know, as Skyrim's lore states, but they're not entirely dealt with until maybe a different year. And again, I want this story to feel like it was going to take a long time, so I've been playing this save for a long time, going on a year. So, anyway, we finally get to the moment where life changes for our protagonist. She's on the quest for the Dawnguard, which leads into the main quest. Now, the reason why I cut it off here is because I didn't want to discover the last scroll for the Dawnguard until a certain point, and that is meeting a certain character that is another playable character. And I thought it'd be a perfect time to put this quest on hold because Ragni's she's got a true noble heart. You know, she's a noble individual, and again, that's probably because of her upbringing, but also the whole hero design sort of thing. And you know, when it comes down to it, she's understood a lot about the vampires in the last series, what they are and who they are and why they do what they do. and she comes to realize that the dragons are a lot more of a threat to Tamriel or Skyrim than the vampires are. But the vampires can't do anything at the moment because they're bottlenecked. They can't get the last scroll, and they probably won't be able to find the last 2 scrolls. And the dragons can obviously destroy the world without needing any help from any Elder Scrolls, so they become more of a threat. Plus, she's also destined to this quest line. You know, fate is calling her, pulling her strings to basically make her do this. So instead of following the path to Winterhold to find out about the scroll, she has to take the path to the threat of the world, because that's what feels right in her. Everything's kind of feelings based on her. It's feelings of fate. She has dreams of dragons before they arrive. Her entire life is foreshadowing the events that will happen to her. Even this, when she starts to suck in the soul of the dragon. Now, this is kind of an inspiration with the eyes from the TV series called Merlin, because it was an awesome series where it depicted Merlin as a young man having to hide his identity from the king, from the royal family, because magic was outlawed and punishable by death. And he was a dragonborn in his own universe in the story, where his father was a dragon lord, and he was born a dragon lord, and he could use inborn abilities to use magic without having to speak. His eyes would turn golden, you know, like to turn with the eyes of a dragon when he ever used this ability. So I thought it'd be a cool little thing, and this only ever happens to dragonborns that eat the soul of dragons. It's not lore in Tamriel, but it's just a cool little added feature that I added that I thought would make a lot of sense and be kind of cool. You know, you didn't find that with Martin Septim or any other dragonborn we've met in the Elder Scrolls game, because they didn't eat the soul of a dragon. And we'll meet an individual like this much later on when this happens. We'll meet another individual that has the exact same eyes that's also killed and eaten the soul of dragons. You know, when the first meets the last. So yeah, this is like, I didn't know how to do this chapter. I really didn't know how to do it. Like, it was like, how am I going to have a dragon fight and make it work? Because in my game I want dragons to be like bosses from like ESO or like a world boss. I want them to be actually like hard to fight and take on. You know, that they will slaughter the soldiers and the followers with me, like these guys that were butchered. And so the way I figured it was that I'd have to meet this dragon on the way to Elder Scroll hunt to basically cut off her main quest and put her on a different path. You know, the whole fate cutting off from doing what she's doing and putting her in an entirely new direction. And the fort looked very defensible, very open, so normally when you're walking in that fort without the dragon there, there's shit tons of soldiers there, absolutely shit tons of them. So I spawned the dragon, I had it wipe out all the soldiers, and basically it was left to bugger all health. And then I decided to film it, and I was able to, you know, I have Dawnbreaker in my hand, so in this, you know, in my game, Daedric weapons are actually very dangerous things. You know, they are very powerful. I've never had to re-enchant the weapon, thankfully, and so she's able to use that weapon, and it helps kill the dragon, because it is a Daedric weapon. It will pierce through dragon's hide, and she's able to finish off a very weakened dragon because of its fight with all the soldiers, the arrows and the swords and this and that. Only reason she was able to destroy it, because if it was a fully, you know, grown dragon, she'd be, there's the story of Skyrim be over pretty quickly, and be playing that new mod that came out, I think last year, called, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like an apocalyptic Skyrim with the dragons won. But again, Wheels of Fate had the turn and cut her path off and put her on an entirely different one. Now, instead of going to the college and meeting a certain character that will help her, she'll meet that character in the future. Fate will bring her back to where it cut her off, but she's sent on a different path, a very cardio-intensive path, very sore knees no doubt, where she learns that the very god that her mother worshipped, the very god that she also worships, walked in the very same shoes, well, she's walking in the very same shoes that he did. She's feeling a little bit more closer to Talos than she was beforehand. She always worshipped Talos because, you know, her mother did, and always asked him for guidance. But maybe now she's thinking, it wasn't necessarily guidance. I think Talos had his hand on my back and directed me in life instead of, you know, protecting me, this and that. I think Talos is behind me, directing me where to go. So, you know, it's pretty mind-blowing for her that she's walking in the footsteps of Talos when he was a man, before he became a god. And, you know, as a worshipper of a divine, you'd think, holy shit, am I divine? Like, what? Your head, your ego is going to the roof now, right now. But this is another important section. You know, this is, like I said, she was cut off from her quest to find the Elder Scroll, but eventually fate will bring her back to that quest. And the reason I cut it off is because I didn't want her to meet a certain character until the events of Skyrim, you know, until the main quest of Skyrim, where it's a little bit more important, because she walks in there with the vampires at Dawnguard. No doubt this character's going to be a bit intrigued, but I want it to be a special moment where the character, because she's going to be intrigued by this person, be like, oh yeah, cool, rightio, here you go, and walk away and go back to the college. But during the events of the Dragon's quest line, she might be a bit inclined to not walk away. She might be inclined to join the team. And that's kind of what I wanted that to be. So it was cut off and set on a different path. And one day she will take that back up and she'll meet the certain character she's meant to. But that character will feel obligated to stick around. So this one was pretty cool. The whole shouting business, I'd already think I learnt the shout from the dragon, which is probably the way it should have been, you know. Like, you shouldn't have to word hunt all over the goddamn place to learn words. I think killing dragons should have been like a lazy but also fun way of learning new words instead of having to do dungeon crawls. That would have been really nice. Like, you know, screw learn this word, let's go kill a dragon and we'll learn something from it. We'll either learn a new word or we'll learn an existing word to a shout we've already got. That would have been cool. But I'd already learnt a couple shouts. I think I learnt Wall War and Sprint while I was doing the Bard's College quest line, so I was able to get the extra shout to this one, which is pretty bloody cool, and that I liked. So that was neat. I'll tell you that was definitely neat. Having to get the second one, but again, this is not really the most important part. I brought Serana along because I thought she'd have, and they said that she does, that she's got main quest dialogue, like interactions, but she didn't at all mention killing the dragon, becoming Dragonborn, the Greybeard shouting and shaking the world, or walking up the 7,000 steps. So nothing happened. Like, and I've already got to the point on the relationship where the main character's kissed with Serana, so I thought she'd definitely have some dialogue scenes of that, but she didn't. Apparently got to wait or do this, and I don't really want to mess around with it. And truth be told, Serana is a fucking nightmare of a follower. I want to cut that bitch's head off and chuck her in a lake. I want to finish the Valkyr line permanently as the person playing it, because she's such an annoying cunt. She fucking walks in your way all the time, and her Radiant AI is so fucking annoying that if you're standing still, she'll walk into you and push you out of the way of conversations and stuff like that. Man, I just want to dig my sword into the back of her head so bad. So I thought, instead of her making me angry, and me ending up having to murder her 10,000 times, because you can't even kill her, man. You can't even fucking kill her. It annoys me so bad. Like, you can't make her non-essential and then kill her. She'll always, it drives me nuts. Fuck you, Bethesda. Fuck you. But I thought it'd be better for storytelling if the person she's falling in love with has had to be separated, because she's not going to be very useful against dragons. She's going to have the exact opposite effect. And the Dragonborn, you know, if she's going to be sent on a path to stop dragons, she can't afford feelings for someone that she cares about being killed in front of her. She can't worry about that. So she's going to have to send her on her way back to the Dawnguard, let them know what's happened to her, and they'll meet once more, maybe in a library. When the Serana's decided to take the hunt for the Elder Scroll on her own, she will meet an old friend, a little bit more than a friend, maybe a auntie's roommate, in the college library during a certain thing where fate pulls her back to where it cut her off. Oh, but yeah, I need a separator. It's good for storytelling, because a lot of the stories you need to have the main sort of romantics split up and go their different ways and reignite in the future. And for my mental health of not putting my hand through my screen, I needed to tell Serana to simply quite fuck off. Oh. Now this is a bit I've also been waiting for a long time. And this has always been in the back of my mind. The kind of, once the world shakes and people discover there's a Dragonborn, the first thing the Civil War generals are going to do is want that Dragonborn on their team. Because the stories of Talos, that he was a Dragonborn, that he conquered the world, that's the one person you want on your team. That's the one, that is God mode. That is the cheat card to basically winning the war, having the Dragonborn. And so both these generals have sent their very best soldiers to gain the friendship and trust of the Dragonborn. So when if the Dragonborn is finished their quest or slaying dragons, that they will aid them in finishing the war. And this is kind of where these two Civil War characters that I've been showing off quite a bit finally come into play. The different paths have merged onto the one. Now Centaurus doesn't really recognise that, because she does look visually different from the last time he met her, when he was lying in bed with her, and her eye colours change and her hairstyles change, and there's something familiar about it. But again, he's a soldier, he lives day by day. He can't afford to remember absolutely everything and everyone that he's laid with. But across the corner you can see the other Civil War character who's quite angry, because to her sister's been killed. She doesn't know that, but the very man that could have killed her didn't kill her and imprisoned her. So she has no idea that her sister's still alive, and she has no idea the man that spared her from executing her or having his men kill her or rape her is the very person across the room from her. But this is kind of like this is like the trifecta. This is the three. You know, these are there's a reason why everything that in the story has meaning, has motion, and you know, I built these characters to be the very best of the best. They were sent to gain the friendship and ally of the Dragonborn. But it's not just that. They're also there to teach the Dragonborn, not really how to fight. It will definitely improve her skills, but to aid and protect her, but also teach her some self-learning. You know, the Dragonborn will hang around these soldiers for a long time, and she'll see the effects of when they first meet, but she'll see how they grow, and she'll see the real side of the Civil War, and they're here to gain her as a friend. Sorry, gain her as an ally to their cause. But their relationship, all three of them, will develop into something very strong in the future. Then when it comes time for certain decisions to be made, well, her journey throughout having these two by her side will heavily impact the decision she makes at the very end of which side she joins in the Civil War. But they're it's kind of really cool to finally have these two, you know, so close to each other. Because, again, their relationship has been there all along, staring you in the face if you've been a viewer. Let's go and check it out real quick. Now, Centaurus is my main character. He's the dude that I always played the Dragonborn as. And we get to meet him a year ago, when he's just an Imperial soldier, when he'd helped Marulia Tullius conquer this fort, Haragstad. This is the very first fort that he, you know, that it was a lone survivor in the attack against the bandits with Marulia. And he earned himself a name in the Tullius ears by surviving basically the battle and aiding Marulia Tullius in securing victory. And this is how his story starts. And this was, you know, this was a momentous moment, because this is kind of where the relationship with Sigund and Centaurus kind of starts in a weird sort of way. It's the whole doom-driven thing they've been running with for a long time, that people that are involved with the Dragonborn's questline, that will one day be involved with the Dragonborn, can somewhat feel each other, can understand each other, but they're this companionship, a bond, like a battle bond. They don't even know that they don't even know each other, but they feel that they can be safe around them. They can feel like they can be trusted around them. That they will always be there to help. And for the Dragonborn, those feelings are a lot more intensive. But for Sigund and Centaurus, these feelings were a bit more intensified than the usual Dragonborn feeling. Because they're not just destined to, say, aid the Dragonborn. Their story is one, I guess, of serious political sort of notion. And this is kind of where it starts. And he's just an Imperial soldier on watch of the fort he just helped, you know, take back. And he looks down the fort, and he sees something. Well, he feels something. You know, that's the Thelmore fort. What's so important about that? Boom. That right there. Because he had a really weird feeling in that direction. And that very fort, at that time of him looking down, was being sacked by the Bearclaw Raiders. And he could sense something. I don't know, like, he could sense it from from hundreds of meters away. But they felt each other. They just had no idea they could feel each other. They had no idea what was going on at the time. She felt a weird disturbance up on the mountain, up on the fort and the cliff. And he felt a weird disturbance on the ground below. So this is the first time they actually felt each other. Now we skip a few months after all the first sort of weird feeling, and Sigund is basically pretending to be an Imperial soldier, to ambush Imperial officers and kill them, free prisoners, and just cause havoc to the Empire. But then she senses something walking down the stairs, and she feels a presence. Yes, and that soldier is definitely upgraded since the last time we met him, but she's felt a strange presence, and it's weird to her, because she's felt this before, but she felt that on the mountain. She's like, why am I feeling it now? Why is it towards him? And this is kind of the first time they see each other, but have no real idea who they are. I mean, she is like, and I love this because I didn't do this at all, but somehow the game just had Centaurus staring at her, and I was like, man, he's feeling it too. This is fucking awesome. Like, he's got the exact same feeling. He's just staring at Sigund, and he has like no idea what these feelings are, but he's just staring at it, and it feels so authentic that he too is feeling the same thing she's feeling. and he walked right past her, not knowing who she was. And, you know, there's something about that day made him, when he was walking back home, when Centauros was, like, you know, he was running the fort at Skystone Castle, which is a fortification outside of Whiterun, where his troops stay, where all these guys are going back to. And he was going to follow him back home, and rest there the night. But something was telling him, don't. Go home to Breeze home, because that's his home in Whiterun, and rest there the night. And something was just itching him, don't follow that path. Because if he was to follow that path, Sigurd and a few of her troops would have ended up catching up to him, revealing who they are, fighting, and he most likely would have died. So during this moment, he's basically, instead of taking a right out the gate, he's taken a left to Breeze home, which has saved his life. Fate has decided not to kill him this day because he's needed for a future cause. It's the reason he hasn't died to her or been ambushed and killed. Because Fate needs him for another time, and this Fate isn't not just to protect the Dragonborn and to guide her, well, exactly that. They're to guide her, to teach her a little bit about the Civil War, which will help her decide on what side to join in the future. He's not just there to protect and guide her, he's there to teach her some very valuable lessons, and so is Sigurd. So that was their relationship so far. So she's had to say goodbye to Serana, because she knows she's a serious risk of dying in this, and she's accepted to help both the soldiers. You know, they both want her allies in their war, but they're both going to play along nicely, because if either one of them basically betray her wishes, she'll join the other side, so they'll think. So they definitely will play nice with each other to get the Dragonborn to join their side. Dragonborn's got some conditions. Don't kill each other, and don't aid your soldiers if they're fighting. Stay behind me, and do not interfere. Let them do what they do, but I do not want any sort of fighting out of you too. If you do, and anyone who's betrayed my wishes, I will join the other side. Now, in this time, Ragni's nowhere near powerful enough to decide what happens in the war. She's probably, I dare say, she wouldn't stand a chance against Centauros or Sigurd on her own. She just wouldn't. But it's the whole idea of the name of the Dragonborn that carries so much weight and power that they will respect this, even if they know that she's nowhere near fit enough to be this all-conquering Dragonborn. They still want their mission to succeed. So they will play nice, they will respect the Dragon's wishes, and they will deal with each other. Now, I thought, you know, at this current time, the Dragonborn isn't really known. You know, everyone knows there's a Dragonborn there, but they don't know who the Dragonborn is. And having two soldiers follow this Dawnguard hunter through territory makes no goddamn sense. So I thought, at the very start of this, it'd be a bit more, I guess, a bit more immersive if Sigurd was leading the Dragonborn and the Imperial through Stormcloak territories, and the Imperial was leading the other two through his territories. You know, and if soldiers come by that are opposite side, basically, you know, that person on that side has to go, do not attack, we're on Dragonborn business. And they got to walk away. It also shows Ragni if they can control their men, or if their men are savages and brutes. Will they kill this opposing soldier because they're just animals, or they respect their soldiers' orders and stuff like that, which not just indicates the two sides that are trying to win her favour, but also the two sides' armies. How do they behave? How do they act? Because she's still on the fence. Ragni doesn't know which side she wants to join. She's on both sides in a way that her father was a legionary. Her parents came from Cyrodiil, Nordic Cyrodiils, but she's also a worshipper of Talos, and she hates what the Empire's allowed the Dominion to do, and the laws they've created, and all this sort of stuff. So she's on the fence, and at this time she's deciding which one she wants to join, and which one she would join. And this is going to help her greatly on that decision, like I said, when it comes to Fate, teaching the Dragonborn about the Civil War and what sort of effect it will take upon the Dragonborn itself. This is where I want to really go with this. Everything has meaning when it comes to the shit that I do in this. The music, I mean the names of the music, if the name fits, like right now I'm playing the DLC from ESO, when it comes to the Vampire DLC, it's called the Mist of Morthal. I mean if the name suits, I put it in there. Everything, I want this series to feel authentic. I want the series to feel immersive. And hopefully with all the chapters that I've done, I've done on way too much world building and way too much character building. But you know what my Skyrim's like. You know what the story is. You know how it kind of plays. And hopefully there's other people out there with a similar Skyrim to mine. That'd be kind of cool. But Skyrim modding, you have no goddamn idea what's going on. It could be like, you could put down 10 PCs across the world with different Skyrim mod folders, and none of them would play the same. Unless, of course, they use the same Wabberjack list, but I don't use any of that. Mine's all manual, so I'd have a very rare Skyrim indeed. Now, like she says in the video, she's always brought back here. I mean, she left this place to explore the world. Her dream was to become a bard, and use those skills to travel Tamriel and, you know, make new memories, earn some gold, sing some songs, you know, flute, instruments, all that sort of shit. But somehow she always keeps being brought back here. And these soldiers have no idea how close they are to her actual home. It's actually an eyesight. You know, to them, it's just some Dawnguard hunter, some vampire hunter that was named Dragonborn. But to their left is the very home they can see, is where she was born and raised. They don't know how close they are to how personal her life is right now. That in an eye shot, with a really good arm, not even really good arm, her family's buried, and it's very personal for her. But to them, it's just some haunted marsh. It's just some place that people don't really want to live. But again, understanding which parent is Dragonborn, I don't really get too deep into it, because again, it's all based on birth. You know, his parent was the Dragonborn, and I like to leave that open to, you know, thought. Her father would come down here and clear out the undead if they wandered outside, and he'd go deep into the ruin and clear them until he thought it was safe. But he doesn't go deep into the ruin. He goes into the first cell, I guess you could say, the first part of the Eastern Grav, or whatever you call it, before you enter the open cavern. And once he's cleared enough of the undead out, eventually they'll get back up and wander back into their resting places, and that could take months, that could take years. But he never took Ragni, he never took any, and he made his children swear, and they grew up in a haunted marsh, so they knew how dangerous it was. They knew these haunted marshes were real, and the undead were a serious thing. So, with this, she's never stepped foot in here. She's heard her father stories about the place, but she doesn't know too much about it. And again, if he went deeper down, maybe he was a Dragonborn, he could have learned Fade, but he never ever used it. So he most likely maybe didn't go this far down. Or maybe he wasn't the Dragonborn. And who knows? Who bloody knows? I like to leave some things open to, you know, to nothingness. You know, it could have been, it could have been, couldn't have been. Who bloody knows? And I like that sort of mystery to it. It's like George Lucas with the Yoda species. There's no name for them, there's no home planet for them. They're just unknown. I like that. And this is probably where he ended his trip. You know, he got to these bones and turned back and went back home to his family. So it didn't go any deeper down. Now, I don't know if this is dodgy Bethesda writing, but I want to know how Delphine got into this ruin and stole the horn. Because it doesn't matter what you do with this, as far as I haven't thought about it too hard. But no matter what you do, you can't get through without using the shout, right? If I place Centaurus here and Sigun there, and myself at the very last one, if I ran, the gate at the very furthest would close before I got close to it. These two gates would keep open. There's only two gates. No, there's three gates. So by the time I got to the last gate, it would already close on me, and I wouldn't be able to get through. If I positioned myself at the first one, I wouldn't get close enough to the... Maybe if I had a shout, yes, but I wouldn't get close enough to the gate for it to actually stay open. So you need to use the shout, or you need 4 followers to have it open. Delphine's on her own. How the shit did she do this? Was she a goddamn, like, triathlon, like, runner? Did she just, like, take off? Did she take all her clothes off and just run barefoot naked through this thing to get so much momentum? Because it makes no goddamn sense. And why is everything still here undead? Like, how did she get through without killing everything? I think for this to be a lot more immersive, I don't know. I don't know how she would have managed it. Maybe placed undead across the things and have the runes opened up already. But would have removed the whole test for the Dragonborn to use the new shout there from the Greybeards. And, like, if she had come through and stolen the horn, wouldn't these things already be up? Like, I know they'd probably go back down, but wouldn't they still be up? I don't know. It's just, it seems like a... Bethesda didn't really think about this questline, like, or the effects of how Delphine got this a little too deep, because I don't know how the hell she did it. Makes no goddamn sense. Now this is one of those moments that I've tried to do. It's something I'm new on trying to do. It's in-game conversation between the characters, right? This is something that I want to be able to do without it making it feel weird, because I don't want them talking to each other and the lips are not moving. It just doesn't feel very authentic. But maybe if I do it somewhat like a screenshot story in a certain way, it might make somewhat sense. It feels like they're talking to each other. So maybe like the game's moving around, the character looks at the character, and the game comes to a screenshot with the characters' mouths are open and they're talking to each other. Whenever they're talking, it goes back to their face or whatever. So this is what I tried to do here. I tried to make it seem somewhat like they are talking to each other. Because normally when the characters are talking, the character will go, I talked to this character and this is what they said. You know, instead of the two characters actually talking to each other. But for the very first time, I want to try and mess around with actual in-game conversations. Well, not really in-game, they are in-game, but in-story conversations between two characters. And the first ones I'm trying this with is Sigurd and Centaurus. So let me know if you like this sort of stuff, if it could actually work without it making it seem so immersive. There's no point walking up to an NPC, having a conversation with them, and then having to change NPC every single guy, because that takes some time, man. I don't want to waste my time doing that just for a conversation. Either like I take control of the camera and I have the camera to the NPC's back and they're constantly just, you don't see him talk, you don't see the emotion, you don't see the lips moving, it's kind of air. But with a screenshot, you do, you get to see that emotion. So let me know if that kind of worked out for you guys, if you really liked the whole conversation between the two NPCs in the midst of the story when they were kind of just shit talking each other and that sort of stuff. Let me know, because I would like to know if this is something I could do in the future where I could go into the game, talk to an NPC comes up behind the character, and it kind of goes into like a freeze frame shot of them talking like this. Because that could probably make the story a lot better for me personally. I like that kind of idea behind it, to have the characters actually talk to each other instead of talking about each other. Now, as soon as I thought about this, you know, like seeing some random woman escorting two opposite sides of the Civil War soldiers into a bar, it just became a joke in my head, like a Dragonborn, a Stormcloak, and Imperial walk into a bar. That's the first thing I thought about, but I was like, don't put your humour into it, okay? Don't, just play the story. There was a moment, I don't remember what chapter it was, I couldn't find it, but where Ragni walks past the inn and she feels a weird presence in there about someone being guarded and sheathed and all this sort of stuff. And she feels it again when she looks at this woman. And she has a strange feeling that this is the very woman that stole the horn. Now, of course, we all know we've been playing Skyrim for a goddamn, like, for fucking ever. But she has a strange feeling, because I do want Delphine to actually be part of her gang, you know, before she becomes a bitch. Well, more of a bitch. That she will join the Dragonborn in her hunt with the teams. You know, so she's got an Imperial, she's got a goddamn Stormcloak, she'll have the guild members, and she'll have even a Blade with her. I mean, they're going to be the protector of the Dragonborn bloodline, and also Dragon Slayers. One of them might as well fucking join in on doing somewhat of that. But yeah, so she's going to be somewhat of a character, and for a set amount of time. But this is kind of the side. This is leading to the next chapter, because at the moment she wants to learn what it means to be Dragonborn. Like, what is her path? What is this new life of hers? What is this new goal? Or, you know, what does it all mean? And this will lead her into the whole meaning behind, well, she's here to stop the dragons. She's here because she's the only one that can properly kill them. And this will be the help of Delphine and the next chapter. I don't know how I'm going to manage this one. I might have to chuck a few new characters into it to kind of back her up along the way. That's what I'm thinking of anyway. But I kind of, yeah, this is exciting for me as a storyteller to finally get to this point and have it all kind of work off, and, you know, have all that I've done work. I like this. I like this a lot. It means a lot to me that I've finally gotten here and I'm able to actually jump into the main events of Skyrim after all the effort and time and even money I've spent on the AI. Putting it all together to make sure it all flows in the direction I want it to finally get here after a year. It means a lot to me, and I hope those that are still watching this outro have enjoyed it, and all the new fans that will watch it in the future. But for those new fans, honestly, if you guys comment, and if you guys like this sort of stuff, I don't give two shits about that sort of stuff being YouTube famous. That's the last thing I want, because I don't give two shits for that. I never will. The only reason I want the likes and the comments is because it helps the algorithm out, and it puts the video out there for more people that enjoy this sort of stuff to follow it. That's kind of what it's there for. It's like I said, I'll never ever get paid for this, these stories, no way, because I use real people's voices for the AI, which are licensed Bethesda actors, and I'm not going to get paid for money for using their voice. It's morally fucked. But yeah, if you do like it and you do chuck a comment in, there's a good chance that it will come across someone's YouTube feed that really likes sort of storytelling and story creation and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I've spent more than enough time talking about this. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next video. Look after yourselves.